If you don't know the story of Hanahana Beauty, you have to know about Kwewu. Now look at this view. The view is beautiful, but Kwewu itself, the name actually means go there and die. Yeah, I know, right? And not only does the name mean go there and die, but the town right below Kwewu is in Koko, which we all know means in Koho. So the town below actually means don't go there. Imagine, there's the mountains up above and a town below that says don't go there, we go there. Now, Nana was on the second wave of settlers of Kwewu. So even before Nana had reached, it was already called Kwewu. And I ultimately think, like, Nana's story is the ultimate manifestation story of what happens when you stop moving your feet. See, Nana was based in the Shanxi region area. Now, if you know Kumasi, that's where he was, Mongkong area. And there was a war going on, and his uncle basically chased him out because he decided that he did not want to participate in the war. He ended up actually running himself into another war. He ran away because his uncle chased him out. He found himself settling and then had to be defeated. And then he ended up in Nkoko. So I just always think about what Nana was thinking right before he went to Kwewu. Like, did he know that he would end up in Abena and become the chief? Did he know that he would have just a whole village, his whole place, that people would be speaking about him today now? Today, I'm here to talk to you guys and tell you and share about the lessons that I have learned when I stopped moving in fear and actually started to travel around Ghana. Now, I want to ask you the question, and I want you to think about this the whole time, is what does it look like when you stop moving in fear? In 2016, I was a teacher in Chicago. I was in grad school. I was stressed. And I had just started Hanahana Beauty. I honestly was in a low place at the time. And it was December. And if you were in Ghana at the time, you were probably sitting on Snapchat watching everyone get into that twist to Runtown song. And it was quite depressing, I won't lie. But that day is when I realized that, I have to go back to Ghana. Not just because of Runtown and Twist and all the good things in Accra, but mainly because I had just started a company where I was going to be sourcing shea. And how can I source shea if I'm in Chicago, other than using my aunt to bring me the shea? So I decided that I was going to go to Accra and find my way to Tamale. And so I ended up in Accra in June, and one of the first lessons I learned in Accra when you stop moving in fear is that you have to be intentional, Because the thing is, fear at the core is a good thing. I won't lie, it's actually a good thing, but it's only good when it's appropriate. I remember being in Accra with my cousin, and we were driving and chilling, and then the police car came by, and literally my heart started to beat. I started to tense up, which is actually quite regular for me, and I turned around, and then I turned back around, and I realized no one else in the car had felt that way. This natural form of anxiety that I didn't think was unnatural was quite normalized in the States. I mean, to, think about a cop car passing by, fatality kind of crosses your mind right away without even thinking about it. And I came to Accra, and that wasn't there. And I had to start moving intentional, because if I know that anxiety is there when I'm in the States, and it's no longer here when I'm in Ghana, am I going to intentionally keep going back to the States? Intentionality is really important in Accra. You have to be very intentional in Accra, how you move, how you talk. And remember, you guys, I didn't come to Ghana to chill. I came to Ghana because I wanted to go to Tamale. And I know sometimes it's hard for us to remember this, but Ghana is bigger than Accra. Okay? Ghana is way bigger than Accra, and my main reason was to go where? To Tamale. Oh my goodness, you guys. I wanted to go to Tamale so bad. I told my mom, I told my dad. Oh, my mom, Auntie, why? When you said in Kutowo Kumasi, in Kutowo, why do you have to go to Tamale? Why do you have to go? And I told her, because that's where it's made. Even, remember, you guys, even 2 days before I was supposed to go to Tamale, my cousin told me he wasn't going to come with me. Imagine me telling my mom, oh, Nana can't come anymore, sorry, it's just me by myself. When you move in fear, you limit the opportunities of success that you don't even know about. Think about that. There's opportunities that you have never even thought about because of the way that you may be moving. When I went to Tamale, the first person I met was Pa. He was my driver. He actually ended up being our transporter for Hanahana, and he taught me so many things, but he introduced me first to the Kataga Women's Group. That is currently the group that we continue to source our shea butter from almost now 3 years later. That day I met, the women that continue to change my life. And when I was there, I met this woman in Natu, and we were talking about the process, and I had a translator because I don't speak the Bani, and I speak Chi, but they don't speak Chi. They didn't trust me just yet. And Natu said to me, every day I wake up in the morning, and I do this, and it makes me happy, it makes her really happy, but she's tired. If you don't connect with that in your craft or in anything that you do, I don't really know if you're working that hard then, because imagine you're happy doing what you do, but you're tired. Imagine you're working in an industry that's over 1.2 billion network, but you've never seen that side of money. Community is really important, and Pa really taught me about community. The women really taught me about community and what it means to sustain your community, what it means to create access for the communities that you find yourself in. How can I source shea, make money, and not sustain the community that I'm sourcing from? You know, I've been going back to Tamale multiple times now, I can't even count. And there was this one time we were in Tamale, and as you know, if you haven't been to Tamale just yet, it's a bit conservative. And you know, every time I go, my mom tells me, please, watch how you dress. And one day, I really wanted to do this photo shoot, you know, at the baobab tree, and get there really early in the morning. And so I had my back a little out, and we had to go to VIP next and do all these things. And whew, I was walking, minding my own business. Mibebo. That's what the guy said to me, and I'm just shocked, because I'm like, I'm with Pa, I'm with my people, I'm not doing anything. And the guy was upset. I've never seen someone so mad because of how I look. And you know, that day, Pa sat me down and said, you know, the same people you meet when you're ascending will be the same people you meet when you feel like you're descending. It's kind to be kind. Think about your community. Think about the people that you meet every day, where you're at. You don't know what they're going through, but it's kind to be kind. Think about the business models that you've created and the communities that you're working in. Are you sustaining them? Because it is kind to be kind. Tamale has taught me so many lessons because I stopped moving in fear. Traveling itself teaches you so many lessons when you stop moving in fear. You create community, you're intentional. I've been going back now, you know, to Ghana, 8 months spent, 4 months spent, 1 month, all these things. And Kumasi, to Boja, to Takrade, to even 40 minutes to tema. The lessons that I continue to learn is about patience, is about trust. Because the thing is, when you stop moving in fear, you really have to trust yourself. I mean, because again, fear at its core is a good thing. But when you stop moving in fear, you really have to trust your intuition. And I'm going to be honest with you, I believe wholeheartedly that your intuition is God speaking through you. Imagine your inside head is telling you, do this, do this, do this, and then you say no because you're scared. And that's happened to us multiple times. It's crazy to think that in the past 3 years, as I talked to you guys about Kwewu and how amazing it is and the story, the first time I went to Kwewu as an adult was this past year. Easter in Kwewu, if you've been, it's the most amazing. I thought it was going to be church, sitting down, everything, and my mom, my dad, everyone was there, and I was supposed to go with them, and I found myself actually going by myself, and I found myself stuck in Koko. Imagine looking up, waiting for my parents to come an hour, and thinking about the story of Nana Mampongaji. And when I finally got to Kwewu, I understood why he stayed in Kwewu. I mean, my family's there. I have my family in Abetifi, I have my family in Kwetia. And my parents are there, and the view, I mean, look at the view. The lesson I learned when I was in Kwewu is about privilege. You guys, I mean, you have a view, you have your family. Think about it. We say this all the time. I am my ancestors' wildest dreams, but it really hits differently when you can go visit exactly where your ancestors are from. It really hits differently when you can build back on the land where your ancestors are from. It really hits differently when you never had to leave. I mean, why don't we acknowledge our privileges? I know, because of white privilege. It's usually a negative thing. We get it, we got it. We know, white privilege, it's a thing. We're literally in British Council, come on. Think about it, the year of return in British Council, I don't know. But I'm being serious, you know? What happens when you start to acknowledge your privileges? Take a second, start thinking about what you have, start thinking about when the lights go out, you still have your generator. Start thinking about the fact that you're here getting to listen to me be honest in front of you. What happens when you start to acknowledge your privileges? What happens when you start to acknowledge that your privileges can impact yourself and impact others? Because the thing is, the opposite of fear is curiosity, is confidence. That's what the dictionary says. When you stop moving in fear, you have confidence. You're curious to continue. So then what do you start to move in? So my question for you is not what happens now when you stop moving in fear, but it's what happens when you start moving in love. Love for yourself, love for others. My name is Abena Boamah, and that's my TED Talk.
Yay.